Alright, this is Chat UTD reflecting on more drop points for United, 2-2 at Turf Moor tonight, and another really frustrating result. 3 draws in a row, 6 points taken from Newcastle, Wolves, Leeds and Burnley. It's not good enough. We needed at least 9 really from that, and this team continues to miss opportunities that are there to get into good positions in the league. A very inconsistent team, which maybe is to be expected, but it's really frustrating, should I say, when you consider the opportunities that are there for us to push on to positions we don't really deserve to be in, but we can't take the opportunities, we're not good enough. And tonight was, it's hard to look beyond the result really, because we've dropped points to all of the bottom 5 now. Burnley are a team going down, just like Wolves are, just like West Ham are. We drop points to all of them. Burnley can't score goals. They managed to score 2 against us tonight. They scored 4 against us this season. How many they scored in the whole of the season, I'd like to know. Too soft at the core again, in complete control of the game at 2-1, and we concede a goal just from a moment where we switch off. That was their first shot on target, and it was their second goal. That's ridiculous. The game, I thought the team was really, really flat, considering, I suppose it's a bit different to other managerial sackings where maybe Amorim wasn't, maybe the players weren't at the end of their tether with Amorim, and maybe it wasn't that relief to get rid of him perhaps. But even so, with a different dynamic, with a United person being there, only a couple of days to work with them, but you'd think that there would be a little bit more oomph in the performance. I thought the first 35 minutes of the game from United was just very much the same as what we see more often than not. Just slow, lethargic, lacking in ideas, lacking in energy. The last 10 minutes of the first half we played well, and I mean, we've had 2 cleared off the line in the first half. We've scored a goal which for me shouldn't have been disallowed. The ref doesn't blow the whistle when the so-called infringement happens. He waits till United score and then he blows the whistle. So I don't know what that's about. You could argue maybe Martinez did push Walker to the ground, but he's questionable. I think that goal should have stood. So we had our moments in the first half, but I look at the team and I don't see, as I say, in the first half at least, an energy or an enthusiasm to go and do something that puts a smile on people's faces, which I think Fletcher spoke about before the game, saying, you know, we want a performance that's where the players go and express themselves, and you know, a performance that's true to Man United. And it all just feels like words. I honestly think a part of this club has gone and isn't coming back. That's not because we just got a point against Burnley. I just feel that's the way it is. There's no bounce. There's no different energy. It's just exactly the same. And you can bring Solskjaer in, and you could bring Carrick in, but I just don't, you don't see anything any different. I think when Solskjaer came in and replaced Mourinho, maybe it was close enough to the era when we were good for people to still remember that, and for people to still have that as your reference point, so then you know what the likes of Solskjaer's talking about when he comes in and says, we're going to do it the United way. Maybe the United way is so far gone now that players don't even know what people like Darren Fletcher are talking about, because that first 30 minutes, you may as well just have Ruben Amorim in the dugout. Not that Fletcher's done anything wrong, by the way, I'm not saying that, there's just no response at all. last 10 minutes of the first half were good, and we didn't deserve to be behind. They hadn't even had a shot. It was a deflection and obviously a fluky goal for them. But still, just looking at it from the perspective of a United performance, it was poor in the first half. Second half, good tweak by Fletcher to put Cunha more central and put Bruno slightly to the right, sort of right-sided forward position. Bruno started to find a bit more space. Brilliant pass from Bruno to Seshko, who, quite frankly, I would have brought off at half time, but it's like playing with 10 men in the first half, but it's a good finish. The second goal is a piece of great football. One touch, quick, incisive, great cross from the wide player, super finish from Seshko. That's a proper goal. Really, really good goal. Then he brings Bruno off, and I think he said before the game, Fletcher, didn't he, that he was going to have to be managed minutes for Bruno, so I don't know if maybe Bruno's not fully fit. But we had our moments after that. We had a few little moments, but the fluidity and the danger that we were causing stopped, really. I thought after Bruno went off, you can see his influence on this team. Bruno, he's such an influential player. He has such an amount of quality. He finds these little pockets of spaces. He's consistently probing and trying to make things happen. And then I thought it was really strange when he brought Cunha off, because having brought Bruno off, I wouldn't have done that. All of the width was on the left-hand side in that second half. He had Mount playing where Bruno had been playing, but Mount wasn't really playing there. Mount kept drifting into the middle, so everything was on that left-hand side. It was all very predictable, but having Cunha in the team just gives you that little bit of an enigma, somebody who can do something a bit different. I thought it was a weird decision. I'd have potentially brought either Dorgu off, although I thought Dorgu had a good game, or I brought Shaw off and put Dorgu at left back. And kept Cunha on the pitch. But you can't bring Seshko off on a hat-trick. You know, I understand that. I wouldn't have brought Cunha off. We huffed and puffed. We didn't really ask many questions, I didn't think, from there. Seshko had a half chance where he swung at it with his left foot. And then Shea Lacey comes on, and maybe it's the unknown quantity, maybe Burnley don't know he's left-footed, but they showed him inside, and that shot where it hit the bar is just an absolutely brilliant effort. And then I feel like the next real dangerous moment was from him again, which was like a 30-yard howitzer, which wasn't too far off at all. Shows confidence, so that's good to see. Ratings, Lemens had nothing to do. Picked the ball out of the net twice, so 6. Shaw, 6. He was decent. Him and Dorgu did all right together. The equalising goals come from his side, which I think him and Martinez can do a bit better. So Martinez again, I would give 6. Although Martinez played an absolutely brilliant pass. Forget who it was to in the first half. Martinez did a proper raking pass to Bruno. It was Bruno, yeah, and Bruno was in the second half, should I say. And Bruno should have done better with it. I think it was Martinez who did that pass, but I'd give Martinez a 6. Heaven, 6.5, was having another good game. Missed a really good chance, actually. Free header, which he probably should have scored when we were really on top. And it hit his shoulder and went wide. And obviously it's come off him for the goal. He credited as an own goal, but it's not anything he did wrong, I don't think. Dalot, 6. Not good enough. Maybe 5.5 is just not good enough. You could go through the team and talk about players that are good enough and not good enough. For me, I just don't think Dalot's good enough. I don't think he's got quality. I don't think his movement's particularly intelligent. His delivery is not particularly good. Don't think defensively is that good. Today was just a dominant, one-sided game where he didn't have a lot to do. So I'd say 5.5 or 6, but I don't think he was particularly good. Casemiro for the second game in a row, it might even be more than that for me, was crap. 5. Just the game the game's too quick for him. And then the things you expect him to be good at, like getting his foot on the ball and passing it about, he doesn't do it. He gives the ball away. I thought he was poor again today. 5. Ugarte 6, decent. Went on an absolutely unbelievable run where he just seemed to be like a hot knife through butter in the first half. Went about 30 or 40 yards up the pitch in one foul run, and Burnley couldn't stop him. And then I think he thought, what do I do now? He was all right again tonight. 6.5 maybe 6.5. He's had a decent run of games, and I think he's doing all right. Bruno, I'd say 7, because I think again when he came off, I think we missed him dreadfully. 6.5, let's say 6.5, because he should have scored. He should have gone across the keeper. I think that when that pass came over, I think it was Martinez who passed it over to him. It's a good take, and then maybe the lad that's coming to block off the angle or maybe make a tackle, perhaps he thinks if I hit it across, that lad's going to get there, so he tries near post, but he should have finished that. So I'm going to go 6.5, but his pass for the first goal is just vintage Bruno, and we missed him when he came off. Dorgu, 6.5 again. He's probably pushing close to 7. I thought Dorgu was good again today. I thought he's non-stop, he's all action. I prefer him a bit further forward. I think he does an alright job there. Great cross for the goal. Quite a bit of good interplay between him and Shaw on that left hand side. Was one of our biggest threats tonight. So maybe 7 actually. Seshko, I'll give him 7 because he scored 2 goals, and he's in the team to score goals. The first half I'd have given him 3. So the goals have pulled up the rating massively. And if he can score goals, no one's going to give a shit how he plays. And the first ones, you bet your bottom. So you put your money on any striker in that position, to be fair, to score from there. But it's a good run, and it's a well-timed run. It's a good finish. I thought in the second half he made quite a lot of runs that weren't spotted actually, and as Gary Neville said, he was getting in between the 2 centre backs. It's just that in the first half, whenever the ball came to him, he gave it away. He wasn't holding it up well. His choices were poor. He had one very good header that was saved, but other than that, everything else was just very tame and timid. But in the second half, I think buoyed by the first goal that he scored, he did look better. And his second goal was a really, really good goal. Probably a player that works better off instinct than when he's got time to think about it. And hopefully those goals give him a lift, because the first half performance was wretched. We may as well play with 10 men. Cunha, 6, went on one very good run down the right hand side where he picked the ball up just shy of the halfway line and just decided to go for it and progress the team 40-50 yards up the pitch, but then didn't do anything with it. Pushed and probed, didn't have a particularly good game today. And then the subs, Mount, very ineffective. You can see he's coming back from a knock. 5. Mainu, 5. Careless on the ball, gave the ball away a couple of times, showed strength one particular time and was all right as the game, as his time on the pitch wore on, but I'd say 5. Yoru, yeah, what's bringing centre backs off? Did Heaven have a knock? Or felt something maybe, in which case that makes sense, but I wouldn't have brought him off. Yoru made a couple of decent runs. Maybe 5.56, perhaps 6 for him. Actually made a run forward and ended up hanging around up front and nodding the ball on into the box, which no one anticipated. So yeah, he was alright, I suppose. 6. Xerxes, very ineffective. 5. Shea Lacey was without doubt the highlight of the subs. Fantastic effort. The curler onto the crossbar. Obviously went on and enjoyed himself and expressed himself, and then the second effort again, he obviously just thought, well, there's nothing else on, I may as well just give it a go. For me, I'd have liked to have seen him further up the pitch. He was often hanging round deep to get the ball. When you're getting it, you've got 2 or 3 players around you and you're 50, 60 yards from goal on the wing, it's going to take some bit of football to be able to do anything from those positions. But he was very bright. I'd say 6.5, I'd say 7 actually. What, you know, why would I give him a 6.5? Yeah, 7. It was good from him, and a bright young player, hopefully, that we'll see more of. In terms of Fletcher as an audition, the tweak to put Bruno in the right forward position changed the game, but it also changed the game when he brought Cunha off, and maybe he had to bring Bruno off because of fitness, but that also changed the game. Good to see that he brought Lacey on, and Lacey looked confident, so that was good. But I said in my video earlier on today, I hope that tonight might be one where you've always got to have optimism, haven't you? And I suppose I thought maybe it could be one of them games where the team looks free and the team looks unleashed, and they go and they put 4 or 5 past Burnley, wishful thinking, and in the end didn't happen, and very much a continuation of what we've seen under Amorim. So I don't think, in terms of Fletcher putting his name forward for the job for the rest of the season, I don't think he particularly has made that a loud conversation, let's put it that way. I fully expect to hear tomorrow or on Friday that they've chosen one of Carrick or Solskjaer, or both, and maybe Carrick, Solskjaer and Fletcher. But I don't think Fletcher will be doing it if they make a decision before Sunday, at least, based on tonight. And as I said earlier, you have to make decisions at this stage based on very little intel, because you're making a decision on a caretaker manager for the rest of the season. That's the position we're in. I don't know how we're a team that dropped so many points, and we've won 3 in 12 now, is it? Something like that. And how each week comes by and it seems we have an opportunity. This week today we had a chance to go 4th. I'm sure at the weekend it was 5th. We didn't win, and today we had a chance to go 4th. We've had a very kind run of fixtures. From, I think, since we beat Liverpool, really, I'd say we've had a very kind run of fixtures. And if you look at the points we've picked up nowhere near enough. I think that's probably the last 12 games. We've won 3 out of the last 12 since winning 3 in a row, I think. Something like that, anyway. And that's not a good enough return. And when you play in Newcastle, Wolves, Leeds, and Burnley, you've got to be looking at getting at least 9 points out of that, and we've got 6. So the wider point, I think, goes back to what I said near the start of the video. You can bring Solskjaer in, and I think people think you're going to get the same vibes that you got in 2018. Been and gone. Those vibes don't exist at the club anymore, because I think everybody around the club is so bogged down and resigned and defeated, and some people naively thought Ineos would come in and make it better. They're not making it any better. They don't know what they're doing, and I've substantiated that significantly in other videos that I've done in the last few days. And I think there is a feeling of resignation about the club, and I think you see that in the first half an hour today. You know, you've got a United guy that's running the ship, albeit for a few days. I'm sure a different personality, someone who's probably very smiley, who's very upbeat, who's not been bogged down by the job like Amorim clearly was towards the end. And the players play exactly the same way as they have done before. So I don't think if Solskjaer comes in, we're going to see anything like the bounce that we saw the first time. Because I just don't think there's an environment for it. So, as I say, I fully expect to hear something tomorrow or the next day around the next decision, so I'll do a video then. And I'm going to put a link in the description of this video to an article that was in The Guardian today talking about Barada, well, more so Wilcox, talking about Wilcox and Ratcliffe in particular. I'm going to put a link in there because I think it absolutely summarises what's going on very, very well. Glazers out.